Hi there, moms. Welcome to Raising Mommy, a podcast sanctuary where moms can come to listen, share, learn, and grow. I am your host, Kimberly Tyson, vegan blogger for eatplantsforlife.com, wife and mom of two. Joining me today in the studio is Tran Smith, the founder of Little Helpers, a volunteer-based program that allows children of all ages to commit their time to helping others in need. Little Helpers conducts monthly service or kindness projects within their communities. We also have one of Tran's two children here today, 11-year-old Ava, who has been a part of the program since day one, and who is part of the inspiration behind what can be considered a kindness movement. Her oldest child, 14-year-old Jack, could not be here with us today, but is also another original Little Helper. Today's episode is brought to you by Emory Women's Center at Findlay. As part of Emory Healthcare, the largest and most comprehensive hospital system in Atlanta, Emory Women's Center at Findlay offers women the highest level of care. Whether you're looking for a gynecologist for your annual well woman checkup, an obstetrician for pregnancy care, or a reproductive health specialist, Emory Women's Center at Findlay is known for outstanding women's health care. Our physicians provide general gynecological care for women of all ages, including all dimensions of pregnancy and prenatal care, as well as preventative women's health education and management. You can depend on unparalleled medical care delivered by specialists who work with you to develop a personalized treatment plan. For patient appointments, call 404-778-3401. Emory Women's Center at Findlay is located at 12,000 Findlay Road, Johns Creek, Georgia, 30097. Today's episode is also sponsored by the Little Gym of Alpharetta and Johns Creek. At the Little Gym of Alpharetta and Johns Creek, we specialize in unique educational classes that revolve around enrichment and physical development for children's ages 4 months through 12 years. Programs offer children a springboard to life's adventures by using movement-based learning and imaginative play to help build the confidence and skills needed at each stage of childhood. To learn more, visit thelittlegym.com/Alpharetta Johns Creek GA or RaisingMommyPodcast.com. This episode of Raising Mommy is also brought to you by Wix.com. I enjoy using Wix because I'm a novice when it comes to building websites, and Wix makes it so easy for a novice like me. It's easy to set up. The instructions are user-friendly with lots of great templates to choose from. Go check out my site at RaisingMommyPodcast.com or go to Wix.com to get started on your website. Enjoy the show. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
So today's Real Chat segment is called Little Helpers. Tran, tell me something about your history. You're from Vietnam, correct?
Yes. So I was 3 years old. I had a sister. I have a sister. My sisters were 2 and 1, and my parents were in their 20s. And for me, it starts with the fall of Saigon, April 30th, 1975. The communist troops were moving into Saigon, and my parents at the last minute decided that they wanted to leave. They wanted a better life, and they did not want to stay. So they found a fishing boat that would hold, up to maybe 50, 60 people. And they were able to convince this fisherman, to take them out. And so all these people crammed into the boat. We almost didn't make it on the boat because it started to move. So my mother got in, and literally my father is like throwing the children onto the boat for her. And so we really don't know how long we were out at sea, but we were eventually picked up by the U.S. Coast Guard and brought to several refugee camps, including Guam, Wake Island, the Philippines, and then ended up in Fort Smith, Arkansas, of all places, and there was a refugee camp right outside called Fort Chaffee, and that's what, that would be our new home.
Do you have any memories of Vietnam?
I have no memories of Vietnam. I'm so grateful for some pictures because we lost our home and everything when we left, and my parents only had brought on important documents when we left. My parents' family were able to go in and salvage some pictures. So we do have some black and white pictures. And sometimes when I look at those pictures, I try to imagine these little girls not even knowing there was a war going on because they look so happy in the pictures. So my earliest memory would probably be at Fort Chaffee at the refugee camp. Not vivid, but it's interesting because the only thing I remember was that there were these volunteers who were there, and they were so nice, and they always told my sisters and I how cute we were because we're a year apart, so we look like triplets, and they would give us candy.
Okay.
And so I think it's a powerful image and memory right now because that is my first memory of being in the United States.
So how did you start Little Helpers?
It was funny because it's one day I'm walking downstairs in my house and I'm looking around seeing all these toys and things around me. And just imagine, like, my parents never had this. Like, they would, even to this day, they don't live in a big house and don't have a lot of stuff. So my children will never know what it's like to be without. Even if my husband and I lost our jobs and had to move into an apartment or whatever, they would never have to know what it's like to truly struggle and to feel hopeless or helpless or, without. And so I was, I'm a big advocate of volunteerism, and I, served on several boards and volunteered a lot. And so I approached a couple of friends and said, hey, what do you think about trying to create a group that would inspire and motivate families to volunteer, because that we need to start early. Because for me, it was like not only teaching my children to be kind, helpful people, but to also appreciate, like, we are so blessed, even on our worst days.
Right.
People would love to have your bad days. So that's how it started in 2010.
And this was in Memphis, Tennessee?
Yeah, so this was in Memphis. Actually, our first project was on Ava's 3rd birthday.
Okay.
And then when we moved to Rochester, New York, we started a chapter there. And then when we moved to Atlanta 4 years ago, started this chapter. And since then, we've had people who, taken over the chapters that I've left. And then other friends and even strangers who've approached us have started chapters in their communities.
So how many chapters are there now?
So we have 20 chapters, and we're hoping to keep growing. I will say that that's not my purpose, is to be bigger, grander, more people. It's just quality and understanding of what we are doing. That's more important to me than the size and the number.
So you're not just national, you're global.
So yes, we've had when my brother lived in Ireland, he and his family started one in Dublin. Okay. And when we went to visit Vietnam, we brought some of our projects there. And then we have some families in the Bahamas just moved, and they're hoping to start a chapter there as well. In Puerto Rico, we've had some things there, and we try to reach out to people everywhere with a great need. So if we find out that there is a need somewhere else outside of our little bubble, then we're on board.
So your daughter was 3.
Yes.
Ava was 3, and Jack was...
So Jackson was 5. Ava was actually her birthday at 3. And the first one, we went to a nursing home, and a lot of people showed up. We dressed up in our Christmas stuff and had Santa there and sang carols. And some kids, they felt like it was a play date. But I did notice some children were kind of frightened by the residents there, because this is one of the oldest nursing homes in Memphis. And so not all the residents are mobile. And it is kind of scary. You have these people who they don't know, wanting to talk to them, wanting to touch them, and some of them can't speak and can't move. It's frightening. So I saw a lot of kids that day, scared to approach them. And but it's really neat. Over time, we've seen that it's changed them, because now Ava will go up to, the residents in the homes and is not fearful. And I see other kids doing the same thing. So it's just the experience and exposure to different situations.
So this was your mission when you started?
My mission was to teach my children that there is something, there's someone else besides them, something else, something bigger besides them. And the mission was for them to stop for a moment and think of other people. Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, also just stop for a moment and think about what you have. I mean, we just can't and I always say, like, I just don't want to raise, mean kids. Like, for me,
Right.
that was my mission, was just to have kind kids, considerate kids, and appreciative kids.
So what type of activities do you do for your service projects?
We have done just about everything. I mean, as simple as collecting items for a shelter, but my favorite ones are the hands-on. I want to see, feel, I want them to be exposed to it. I want them to leave each one feeling like I actually made a difference. And hopefully if they can have fun in the process, that would be great. But that's not, sometimes I say it's not fun. It's not ugly. It can be ugly sometimes. You might walk into a shelter and see someone sleeping on the floor. And you might, go to a nursing home where someone, is not able to hear you. So we have visited nursing homes. We have made sandwiches for the homeless. On 9/11, we visit fire stations and police stations and deliver thank you notes and treats. We have cleaned up parks and streets, and we have, gosh, there's so many. Oh, I love going to the community centers and having play dates with children from low income families. We have, we've gone to donation warehouses, where, you take all these items to, like, say, a Goodwill or Must Ministries. Well, you don't know where it's actually going. So we've gone to some of these warehouses and actually sorted the items so people can see what is needed. But also, like, some of the stuff that you think, like, oh, I'm just going to dump it off at one of these places. Well, you don't want to give people junk.
Right.
So just because they're in need doesn't mean that they don't have pride.
Right.
So that was eye-opening for us too. So I mean, just about everything. And sometimes, we'll hear about a situation that's happening somewhere else. Like when, during the Sandy Hook shootings, we sent snowflakes to the schools. And so after the storms in Puerto Rico, one of our families had moved there. So we delivered and collected money for the families there. And just to actually see her hand deliver these items to the family was just, really powerful.
Feels good.
It does feel good.
So Ava, what's been your favorite service project?
My favorite project would probably be the lemonade stand, where we raised money for cancer research. It was a very fun project, and I liked being able to kind of help with cancer, being able to get money for them to get more research to find cures for it.
Great. So how do you feel after committing a full Saturday to helping someone else? How do you feel after you've done that?
I feel very good because I know that I helped the community and that I actually helped someone.
Okay. So what's been your most recent service project?
Our most recent service project was probably when we played with the kids from low-income families at their summer camp since their parents were at work.
Do you encourage your friends to get involved, your school friends?
I do encourage my friends, and a lot of times when they come over, they end up asking me, Ava, can we do a service project?
Oh, wow.
And so I come up with a service project, like once my friend came over, and we cleaned the road that we have of trash. We just did the whole entire road.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did there. So it's very fun, and I like knowing that I'm having other people get into service projects.
Do you see yourself continuing to do this even after you've grown up?
I do. I just love being able to help someone, and to help the community, knowing that I didn't just sit at home and do nothing.
Right. That's awesome. How does that make you feel just to hear that?
I mean, that's the thing that I tell people, like, you've got to give it a chance, because we'll have families come and they're like, oh, my kids aren't into it. It's not going to work. They're crying. They want to go home. They don't like it. But I'm like, stick with this, because it has to become a lifestyle. So for me to see Jackson and Ava over time, I don't know if they're going to end up being this way. I don't. I'm hoping that they would.
Right.
But I'm not sure. But what I do know is by making it a lifestyle, every month they know it's on the calendar. Just like doing your homework, doing your chores, just like going to the gym or going to church. Like, this is part of it. There's no discussion. There's no getting out of it. So we do it once a month. And over time, what I see is, like, Jackson would start to open the door for somebody. Where we're like, okay, baby, it's okay. You don't have to hold it for everybody, but he'll hold the door open for someone. Or I've witnessed them, like, we were at this event and a bunch of boxes fell out the back of this truck. and I'm just standing there. Everybody's walking by. My 2 kids run over there and start picking up these boxes. And we even had adults come by and go, wow, those, that's great that your kids picked up the boxes as they continue to walk off.
Right.
Or just something as simple as like the cafeteria lady at our school in Rochester came up to me and said, oh, are you Ava's mom? She was asking me about my cast the other day, and then every day since then she's been asking how I'm feeling, and then she would come home and say like, oh, so and so isn't feeling well, can we go buy them something, or can we make them something, or writing someone a get well card or a thank you card. Now it becomes natural to them. So to me, I do know that it works. But it does take some work. Like you do have to make, and even for me, to make a commitment, like this is what we're going to do. And then also follow up, because if they don't help and don't pick up, then I would say, oh, let's go and help this person, or someone, Oma's not feeling well. We should give her a call. So I think encouraging as well, because we always say, oh, say please and thank you, but it's beyond please and thank you, right? Because those are just words sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So now that your children are getting older, your son Jackson, is he the same as far as, because he's in high school now, or?
He will start high school.
I've got one starting high school too.
I'm trying not to stress or be sad.
Yeah.
Because I know this is life.
Because I always think of the high schooler, once they get to a certain age, they have, I don't know, there's a different air about their time. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Do you worry about that?
I do worry about it. I do worry about the too cool for school. Like,
right.
Oh, we're not going to. But maybe I was raised differently too. I was raised by parents who, it's tough love as well. And this is what we do. We had to, my parents worked multiple jobs. And so we had to step up and do. So maybe I raised my children that way too. Like there's no discussion, like we are going to be.
It's a part of our household.
It is a part of our lives. And I promise you, promise, it will benefit you in the long run. Luckily he gets it. And he will do it, and he will help out. And, but I do worry, because also beyond high school, because they're going to get so busy with their activities. And then when they go off to college, I can't, I can't schedule the service projects for him. Like, okay, I'm going to send you your itinerary. But I'm hoping that what we've, all this building and nurturing, that he will find a way to serve. And sometimes for me, I have to remind people, like, serving is not just showing up for a project. Sometimes serving is like you find out that there's a neighbor who needs help, or just like, opening the door for somebody, or donating to a great cause, showing up an event that's raising, awareness for someone. So calling your grandparents, writing a thank you note. So hopefully the service will continue. Maybe it's not showing up to do hands-on stuff, but it's still every day thinking about being kind to somebody.
Yeah. And we could use a lot of that, especially adults. So great job on teaching the next generation to be kind.
Well, it's been a lesson for me too, because I'm sitting here saying, do this, be nice. And sometimes I have to like stop myself too and go, okay, what would I tell my children? How should you handle this? Because sometimes we can get angry or get frustrated, or really just feel sad about what's going on in the world. And there are times when I'm like, why am I doing this? Does this even make a difference? Because we're doing all these things and we feel good about ourselves. And then you look at what's going on in the world and you see so much sadness and even hatred sometimes. I'm like, why is this making a dent at all?
Right.
But it has to. I mean, it just, I have to believe that it does.
Well, I think it's therapeutic. I think it was Oprah that said, if you're feeling down, lonely, depressed, do something for someone else to get out of that rut. I do think it does make you feel good, if you're going through something or upset or, and I think that my brother-in-law said it too. He said that when he's feeling down, whenever he does something for someone else, it always brings him out of that, feeling sad. So Avery, are you about to start middle school, or are you already in middle school?
I'm going to start middle school this year.
So you've got two
I
big
know it.
things
I know
going
it.
on. Wow.
Little helper's getting big.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Great.
I'm very excited.
At least you get to sleep a little longer, right?
Yes.
I know, especially for her. I have a sleeper here.
So what type of feedback have you received from the community?
Well, every time when I started the new chapter in Rochester and when I started one in Atlanta, the first projects are always us, me and the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, I don't know if this is going to work. Well, then people start showing up and when they show up, they always say the same thing. I was looking for something to involve my children, and it's very difficult to find because a lot of agencies won't allow young children. They want the older kids, and a lot of these kids who need service hours. But my feeling is like, why are we not starting sooner? Like, it's never too late to volunteer,
Right.
but it's never too early either. And so we kind of do all the work for you in organizing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the feedback has been amazing, and when people come to our events, it's really cool to see people just stepping up and doing. And even parents will come up to me and say, my child does not do this at home.
Oh.
But when he comes to the Little Helpers events, he rolls up his sleeves and will just, how can I help? What do I need to do? But that's the thing. You just, you give them a task. You tell them, oh, would you mind passing this out? Or, oh, that little girl needs help with this puzzle. And no one has ever said, nope, not doing it,
Right.
And that sometimes I feel like that's why we need to keep encouraging our children and keep pushing it, keep finding a different way to help them serve and be kind. So the response has been amazing. And then whenever I get messages from people who say, we heard about Little Helpers and we want to start one in our chapter.
Wow.
That's just just warms my heart. And sometimes I just want to sit, when I'm by myself and I think about it, it's just like, you just want to cry because there are so many good people in the world.
Right.
And sometimes we focus so much on the negative
Mm-hmm.
that we forget that there is kindness out there.
Wow. Do you ever get back to Rochester or Memphis?
I do. It's been a while, because I don't have family in Rochester.
Mm.
I don't get to go very often, but I was there last year, and they are thriving and doing a wonderful job. And Memphis has just boomed. My go-to gal, Selena, is running it, and she helps me with everything else too. And that's a well-oiled machine now, so I think I've left it all in good hands. So I do try to go back, and then I'm hoping to try to make it to some of the other chapters too to help, especially North Carolina is nearby, so I'd love to take a trip to Charlotte and Mooresville and visit them. So that's going to be on my list, in the future to try to make these appearances. And I would love to do once the one in the Bahamas opens.
Oh, of course, yeah.
we have to go for
Right. This is work.
Yeah.
So, how do you decide which project to take on each month?
So everyone does it differently. All of our coordinators will choose based on what the need is in their area. For me in Atlanta, I reach out to agencies and I see what's available, and really just who wants to have us. And then I also sometimes I look at the month. It might be, since it's May, let's do a gardening project.
Mm-hmm.
September 11th is usually devoted to the emergency services, focusing on them. So, and then Christmas, we do the bell ringing for the Salvation Army, and we deliver gifts to refugees. So sometimes it's based on the month, and other times it's just what is available and also the need. So we might find out like, oh, there's flooding in one community, let's help them. So, but what I try to do is I plan way in advance, so then it's on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm a parent too, I need to have a lot of notice.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal. And we, like right now, we have the rest of the year planned out. Dates are, everything has been scheduled.
So how do you get the word out about upcoming projects and donations needed? How do you do that?
So right now we're just using Facebook.
Okay.
It seems to be the most effective for us. And because we're not a nonprofit, we're just a volunteer group. We don't have a website and we don't manage too many pages because everyone is busy. Facebook seems to be the most effective. And if someone doesn't have Facebook and they reach out to us, we'll just email them the information. But so far that seemed, to be effective.
So do companies ever donate items?
We do. So Sometimes our coordinators will reach out to companies, and sometimes the companies will be connected to some of our volunteers.
Okay.
And so they'll donate that way. The biggest thing we probably get is businesses that will team up with us to let us use their space. Like there's Tap and Six in Roswell that will open up a few hours early and let us use their entire space to do a service project. And that's one of my favorite projects, because you walk into the building and you see all these families from all over the Atlanta area standing side by side, serving, making sandwiches or rolling the utensil rolls for the soup kitchens, and just everyone like chatting and working together. It's just, it's just beautiful. And then to know that this business thought so highly of their community that they would like come in a few hours early and just let us like invade their space.
Wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So every October, you hold what is called Trevors Toes and Tushies. What's that about? Who is Trevor George?
So Trevor George, I hope I don't start crying.
That's okay.
He was this like bright light in Rochester. And like 2 weeks after we had a lemonade stand, he did not wake up, and we had no idea what had happened. It turned out to be sudden, unexplained child death syndrome. Excuse me, I don't even remember, but it was just an unexplained, unimaginable thing that happened, and he was only 6 years old. But he would come to these projects like full of life and energy and just like super smiley all the time, all in. And so what we decided to do was honor his memory by holding a socks and underwear drive. And Trevor loves superheroes, and he loved to wear mismatched socks. So we decided to wear, like, adults, kids, everybody. We put on our superhero attire, even capes and everything, mismatched socks. And we would collect, for months, we would collect socks and underwear, new socks and underwear, for various charities. And every chapter chooses the charity that they feel they want to support. And then and beyond that, we would pick a project, and we would show up in our socks and, in our get up and serve. So here in Atlanta, what we do is we go to Simple Needs, Georgia, in their donation warehouse, and we help unload trucks of donations and then sort through the items. And I have to say, it makes me so happy when I look around and I see people in these superhero shirts, serving, because of all things, Trevor would just like get such a kick out of it. And this has been going on. He passed away in 2016. I'm sorry. No, it was not 2016. It's, all these dates I'm losing the dates, but he was 6 years old. It happened in, I believe, 2012. But now the family, Kathy and Peter, have actually started a nonprofit called Trevors Toes and Tushies. So they took this project and turned it into a nonprofit, so then it could, serve and help more people. It's still heartbreaking. We're like, I'd rather not be doing this, and they'd rather not be doing this. But wow, just to see, like, he was only 6 years old, but he mattered, and that people have taken on this cause in his memory. So yeah,
that's wonderful.
No.
You proud of your mom?
Yes, I really am.
That's awesome. So what do I need to do if I want to participate and have my children participate? Facebook page?
Yes, Facebook page is probably the easiest.
Okay.
And you can just search us.
Okay.
And just shoot me a message. Like, we have Selena, who helps me run it in Memphis. She and I will respond quickly and help get you to the right project and the right chapter. But we always have something going on. And if we don't have something going on the weekend that you're available, I've actually comprised a list of various agencies here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, that will work with children.
Okay.
So sometimes families can't join us, but I will see that they will reach out to some of these agencies and do their own service project and they'll share it with us. So that's really cool too. I mean, it's not that important for people to show up for our events if they can't. We're not trying to shame anyone into coming or guilt anyone into coming, but that would be great if they would take time, with their family and friends to try to do something on their own.
Okay. So what do you see for the future of Little Helpers?
Gosh, I would love for it to keep growing. And if it doesn't, if it's just these 20 chapters, thriving in their community, that's fantastic. I often wonder, my kids, when they go off to college, will it be like me running Little Helpers
with your grandkids?
Hey, hello, that sounds great. But and I would love to see, more people just kind of taking a moment, being mindful, because sometimes we aren't. We get so wrapped up in ourselves. And I have to share the story about Ava when she was probably 3 or 4, and we would go to these events, and she's still little, so sometimes like, oh, it's fun. Sometimes it's, we get there and it's like, she's hungry or tired. What's a snack? So I learned that I would feed them before the event, so they're not trying to snack or do anything while we're there, because the events are only, an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think that's enough for children, their time, their attention span. And so and we always have these discussions in the car on the way. So I'm like, what day is it? And she's like, it's not me day. So I'm like, so that's how. So it's a time to not think about yourself.
Right.
For 2 hours, you can think about, someone else. So that means we're not going to complain about anything. We're not going to want something. We're simply there to serve and to open our minds and our hearts to other people and what the need is.
What a wonderful gift you're giving your kids. It's there are other things that are important, like education, and but this is probably the best gift you can give your kid.
But what a wonderful gift I've been given too, because I feel like, we're all trying to just live this life and to find that there is something more.
Right.
And actually to realize it early enough that you can do something about it. Because I think sometimes you do figure out the meaning of life and the purpose of life, but sometimes it's a little late. So I'm grateful that I was able to do this as, early on, and also have a team of people who are just like on board. So to me, that's been such a gift to have these like army of angels at all these chapters who found that it was important enough that they would take time out of their day to schedule these events and to encourage other people to spread kindness as well. Like, that's just remarkable.
Wow. That's awesome. What a great story.
Thank you so much. And thanks for
thank you for
supporting
coming.
us.
Absolutely. So we'll tell the audience, if you're interested in donating or becoming a volunteer or having your kids volunteer, please be sure to find Little Helpers on, search for them on your Facebook page. Thank you both for coming. I enjoyed having you. Good luck in middle school.
Thank you.
You'll enjoy it, especially the extra hour of sleep.
Yes.
That's all my kids talked about, the extra hour of sleep. Be sure to find Raising Mommy anywhere you listen to podcasts. Check out new episodes every Saturday. Follow us on Twitter at RaisingMommyGA. Search for me on Facebook and Instagram at eatplantsforlife.com. You can also visit our website at RaisingMommyPodcast.com, or you can email me at raisingmommy@appenmediagroup.com. As always, thanks for listening.